Hey guys, welcome back. You're sitting on the spotlight exclusive to the hashtag MagnaOnAir digital network, magnasearchgroup.tv, Rory McMillan, Landon Hood. We have a special guest sitting with us in the studio today, Mr. Timothy Sykes. He's a monster producer when it comes to the penny stock market, and he's a coach and an inspiration to many around the world. Welcome to the show, Tim. It's great to have you here, and good to see you.
Yeah.
So
appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So who is Timothy Sykes? Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, who you are, and how you become so successful.
Listen, the cops are coming. Hold on one sec.
That's how you got successful.
Can you hear the sirens?
Yeah, just a little bit. It's good.
Wait, one sec.
Oh, wow.
So keep this in. This is real life.
I love. They're not coming for you, right?
They're not coming for me. I don't think. I'm literally at a juicery. Juice is served here.
Nice.
I'm not promoting this brand. It's just, I was just sponsoring an Olympic athlete. We're filming for NBC today. I'm a stock trader and I'm a teacher, but I now have a charity. I'm also teaching people how to make money on Instagram. Everything that I do, I try and make money, and I try and be transparent about it and show exactly what I'm doing. So it's not always pretty. You know, sometimes I'm working out of a juicery. It doesn't matter. It's all about being real on the internet.
Yeah.
And I just show it all. And so I swear a little too. So I'm sorry ahead of time.
Oh, no. We've talked to a few of the guys before that, not necessarily, they flaunt it a little bit more than they actually have it. A lot of bark and not a lot of bite. But yeah, I know, like you started off like when you were 13. I remember, you had your bar mitzvah money and you turned that into what, $2 million in how many years?
So yeah, I had my bar mitzvah when I was a 13-year-old. You become a man in the Jewish religion, which they need to change that. The money was just sitting in a bank account until I was like 17, 18. I was turned into nearly $2 million before I graduated college, just trading stocks, taking night classes, focusing on the stock market, learning which patterns worked on the way up and on the way down. So I'm not like this Warren Buffett type investor. I'm just taking advantage of momentum, holding for a few hours or a few days, trying to lock in my profits and grow my account.
No, absolutely. And so I know that you sort of focused a lot of your work on penny stocks. And so why penny stocks instead of the sexy sort of, Googles and Apples of the world?
Yeah, so most people hate on penny stocks. Have you ever seen the movie The Wolf of Wall Street?
Right, yeah.
So what I found is that even though there's a lot of hate, there's a lot of opportunity, especially when you're betting against them. I don't deny that there are scams in the penny stock world, but what most people don't realize is that you can actually bet on them going down. So you profit when the scams get busted. And that is such a logical and, just effective strategy. It's amazing to me that many people don't do it. I know it sounds kind of weird that like I trade scams, but I'm exposing them, I'm betting against them. And frankly, the business world doesn't care about it. So there's a great opportunity for people with small accounts. The reason why Wall Street doesn't care about betting against scams, even though it works the vast majority of the time, there aren't necessarily a lot of shares to short. So it works for smaller accounts. Yeah. I could never run like $1 billion hedge fund doing this. So you have to understand the lack of scalability. But at the same time, I think it's great for turning a few thousand into a few million. My top student now, Tim Grittani, has taken $1,500 of his own money, and in 4 years turned it into $2.7 million. So he has actually done better than my first 4 years.
Wow.
And that's what we're looking to do. And my top students, I have several millionaire students. They now teach alongside me too. So I've created this community of self-made millionaires and actually successful traders. We show every single trade publicly, even our losses. And we're in this industry full of scams, liars, cheats, and we're just trying to be transparent and show exactly how it's actually done. Because it sounds crazy to turn a few thousand into a few million, but if you break it down trade by trade, it's not so crazy anymore.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. So I want to go back in time a little bit, Tim, here. I want to find a little bit about what made you really want to get started in the stock market? Do you come from a finance background? Has finance and always looking at different things that are happening within different industries always appealed to you? Like, what really made you like, you know what, I'm going to try day trading today because I know that there's some good money to be made in this industry? Like, what really pushed you to really want to go out there and go do that?
I mean, I was a tennis player, and I was kind of pissed off that I couldn't play. I had surgery on my arm, so I had 2 casts. I'm walking around senior year of high school looking like freaking RoboCop.
Right.
And I was so pissed, and I couldn't do anything. But this was 1999. the U.S. stock market at the time was going crazy. It was the single best, basically 2 years ever. So I got started at the right time, right place. And senior year of high school, I had taken the 12,000, turned it into over 100,000. My parents, we're from a middle class kind of community. This was a lot of money. So I didn't really have any background in it. I didn't have any really interest. I was just physically unable to do anything else. I was already into college early admission, so I could still type. And so that's what I did my senior year of high school. And then freshman year, my parents were just happy that I even went to school because I'm already earning six figures now. Yeah. And freshman year, I made over 700,000. And I couldn't even, I couldn't even like get into my fraternity. I couldn't even get into clubs. I had like 3 fake IDs taken away from me. And yet I still made nearly $1 million. So I was hooked. Wow. The money hooked me. And, that's what it comes down to. I don't want to sound greedy, but I am. I'm a greedy Jew.
And we talk about some of the great things. We talk about some of the great things about, day trading, the flexibility. I mean, you could be day trading right now. You could be, in the sunny, the Caribbean. And exactly. And you can do it from anywhere, right? And you mentioned you don't know why so many people don't get it, why more people don't get into it. What are some of the hard things? Like, because I know, sometimes it can be tough. You're trading stocks. I'm sure you can see some bad days. Sometimes it can be hard to manage emotions. What are some of the really difficult things about day trading, and what kind of profile of a person do you need to be a day trader?
Yeah, part of the problem, despite all the money and all the freedom, you have 90 to 95% of people who lose money on this. So it's a very tough industry to get into and stick around in because, frankly, a lot of what works is just counterintuitive. So the reason why I became a teacher is because there's just no really good information out there about penny stocks, like saying, okay, these are scams, but you can still bet against them. Still, to this day, I've been teaching for 8 years, people still think that it's illegal to short sell penny stocks because their broker tells them that you can. And in fact, you actually can. The brokers say this because they're shitty brokers. They don't have shares to short, and they don't want you to know that they're a shitty broker. So Wall Street is not the most forthcoming with useful information. So there's a lot of opportunity, but a lot of people get bad information and then they lose and they get bitter. Like Wolf of Wall Street, like just lied about all these penny stocks. The key to my success as a trader and as a teacher is just being honest. I screw up all the time. You can see a ton of my stupid mistakes. I went to the bathroom this one time. I was watching this stock for 3 days and I was waiting for just a little bit of a crack, on a key level. And I had to go through and I was like, it's not going to crack. I went to the bathroom, I missed the crack and it was like a $30,000 dump. And I'll always regret that because, if I had held it or if I had a bedpan and I didn't take a dump, I would be $30,000 richer. At the same time, it felt really good to take a dump. I'm sorry to be so graphic, but
You paint a pretty picture.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need total focus. So while I'm working on the beach and, I'm going all over the place, I've been to over 100 countries, you have to really understand the odds are against you. And it's all about education and knowledge and having a plan. My success is not due to having one lucky stock pick or, one good long-term investments. I have a strategy that has been refined for nearly 2 decades. I am just tough. And I still make mistakes, but at least I have rules that protect me. I'm basically like a glorified driving instructor. Driving is fantastic. I have my Ferrari, I'm cruising down, Beverly Hills, and I'm driving. But if I'm going 100 miles an hour in a 35 mile an hour zone, I'm going to die. So you need to understand that there are kind of road signs in the stock market too. It might not be that clear like a speed limit or a red light or something, but there are most definitely signs, and that's what I try and teach. You need to come in there, scared to lose your money. You need to be grateful for every dollar that you make. You need to study your ass off. You need to be dedicated. My student, Mark Crook, it was his birthday yesterday. He's up over $500,000. He moved from his cubicle job in Texas to Miami Beach. He met the love of his life. I went to their wedding. It was beautiful. But he watched every single one of my 3,000 plus video lessons 3 times before he even got started trading. He wanted the knowledge. He wanted all of these various examples in his mind before he risked his hard-earned money. Yeah. That's good. So I'm not necessarily looking for aggressive people. I'm looking for introverted types, disciplinarians, people who can really control their emotions. Because a lot of people, who just want it all right away, they're not going to do well. They're not going to do what it actually takes to really make it. They just want hot stock picks.
Yeah.
And I tell people, like, they say, give me one tip. I'll study eventually, but give me one tip. And I tell them, okay, I'll give you one tip. Invest in yourself. Invest in your self-sufficiency and your knowledge. And they're like, no, I want a stock tip. I'm like, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
You need to choose what works for you. We all have different schedules. I have some students who are only part-time traders. Tim Bowen, he's up about $500,000, making roughly $50,000, $60,000 every single year, even as he has a family and another job. So some people trade for as little as an hour a day. Tim Grittani, my top student, trades 12 hours a day, nonstop research, nonstop spreadsheets, even when the market is closed. He is probably my most dedicated student too. So you can choose your level of dedication, but you got to have the right mindset. Too many people come in expecting all this big money right away. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
The one thing that we do not do, which many other stock trading and quote gurus do, where they buy a stock and then they have all their followers, just buy the same stock. And of course it's going to go up because you have the whole freaking group buying the same stock.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of saying, look, never follow me into a trade. Never, ever follow anybody's alerts. When I share a trade alert, I explain exactly why. I write like 1 or 2 paragraphs why I'm in this trade. It is not necessarily in real time because I send it, I write the whole thing and it's like 30 seconds or a minute later.
Yeah.
Sometimes the price has changed, but I want to explain why I'm in that stock and why I'm out of that stock. I'm not trying to give real-time alerts, so that you can buy and sell exactly like me. I want to teach you to create your own plan. And that greatly differs from a lot of other people with chat rooms where they just say a ticker, they say buy it, and the whole chat room buys it.
Yeah.
And that, I don't think you learn very much. So I think part of the reason why I have the most Millionaire students, I now have nearly 4,000 video lessons and over 1,000 live webinars of me trading. You get inside my mind and you see, how do you structure a trade? How do you plan every single trade? What do you do if the trade goes bad? A lot of people see their losses mounting and they just freeze. They're like a deer in headlights. You need to have a plan because any stock, any kind of investment that you have can go bad. You need risk management. So I teach all of this, and it's much more disciplined in your mind rather than hot stock alerts, which is what everybody wants in the beginning.
Right. It seems very personality driven, right? Like it seems like you've created a system, you created a process. They're going to make their own trade. They're going to make their own decisions. They're going to make their own investments. They're going to go onto this stock based on their own recommendation or their own personality. You just give them all the tools and resources to go out there and be successful and potentially make money.
Yeah, I'm a glorified driving instructor. They're driving their own car. I'm just showing them, the various rules of the road. And that's really the best analogy.
Yeah. So what really are the key benefits for trading penny stocks versus stocks north of $5, Tim?
Yeah, so I mean, again, you have the big misinformation out there. So most of the penny stock news is biased from the company or from some insider. So a lot of idiots just believe the news and they bid the stock up. That creates opportunity because that rise is artificial. It's inevitably going to come down once the promotion stops, once the telemarketing phone calls stop. So you have this great pricing inefficiency that doesn't exist outside of penny stocks. You don't have telemarketers pitching Google because no one would believe it. No one can afford a $500 or $600 stock. So that's number one. Number two, you don't have that much money to be made, so you don't have to deal with any of these high-frequency traders or any of the smartest, richest people on Wall Street. So I don't compete against like George Soros or Carl Icahn with my trades. If you're trading big companies, you are not going to have an edge. You don't have the best information. You don't have any edge over these billionaires who have so much money invested in so many brokers with their ears to the ground. They get the news first. They have an edge on every single stock.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to trade any normal company, you might be right. Okay, Facebook is growing. Maybe, Virgin America is growing. But it's a guessing game. Even in a bull market, 70% of stocks drop every year. So most people are just addicted to the guessing game. They're addicted to the action. With me, I want to take advantage of the inefficiency where you have the whole group of financially naive people believing a set of facts that they believe are facts when in fact it's actually, basically an advertisement. And when the facts actually come to light, with SEC filings, companies are required to file legally binding agreements and filings online, you can see the difference between the promoted press release, which is all lovey-dovey, and then you have the SEC filings that basically says we're near bankruptcy.
Right.
And that creates an opportunity when they, the two mix and the stock prices eventually collapse. So I've been there, I don't know, maybe 500 or 600 times in the past few years when one of these promoted penny stocks collapses 50, 60, 70% in a few hours and the shit hits the fan.
And you've diversified a lot. I mean, you've gone into Instagram, you've gone into, now you're sponsoring an Olympic athlete. What's really prompted your move? Because obviously you were doing fine, making money for yourself, and you've seen these inefficiencies, and you really wanted to teach people how to do it, and you've seen that there was a lot of inside information that wasn't necessarily been spread. Why move into all these other ventures? Is it you wanted to explore the world, or?
I mean, I have experience now as Instagram. I see that there's all these people who claim to teach you how to, grow your Instagram follower. And then their course, I bought the course because I'm like, hey, I'm interested in growing. And their course basically promotes this program that has auto followers. It's a bot. And I'm like, this is bullshit. This is bad information. And I was like, well, I've built my Instagram the right way, not buying followers, but by providing specific content with specific hashtags and a strategy. So it was very similar, where there's a hugely inefficient market, which is Instagram. Most people are on it, but they're not making money, basically just because they don't have any guidance or they don't have any good information. So same exact thing as penny stocks. I wanted to come in there with my experience, show the world, what I've done step by step. I've made mistakes on Instagram too. It hasn't just been great success the whole time. I have an Instagram mentor, Anthony. He has over 16 million followers. So he has a Wolf Millionaire guide, and he shows exactly, how to grow your account. So getting good information out there in very inefficient markets that have a lot of bad information, that's our business model. And it works like a charm because we're just real. I'm not saying everyone's going to get 1 million Instagram followers. Not everyone's going to be a millionaire. But there is a strategy to growing your follower count or growing your account balance exponentially. You just have to have, a key strategy. You can't just guess.
Yeah, I imagine you guys are probably working on the strategy. You've heard the news about the new Instagram where they're going away from chronology, and now it's going to be based entirely on the popularity of the posts. Yeah. And so I imagine that must be big news for you guys.
It's fantastic because that actually Anthony predicted that in a guide that he made 6 months ago. And it's awesome because if you produce the right kind of content for Instagram or any social media, you will get put to the top. My Twitter has exploded the past 3 months. I got verified and I'm getting, 20, 30, 50, 100 retweets on different posts because I've learned what my people like to see. I post daily motivational quotes. I post, breaking news about stocks. I try to be very useful. And when you're useful, people want to read you and they want to follow you.
Absolutely. And especially some of those travel pictures you've been, Tim, they're mind-blowing. Some of the islands and most tropical places you've been are absolutely stunning. It inspires me. I love that we can do this now. This is the first generation in the history of mankind where you can literally, I'm talking to you guys thousands of miles away. This wasn't possible 20 years ago. We don't appreciate this unique time in history enough. I'm looking at all these people, they're mom and pop stores everywhere, and they're not taking advantage of this technological revolution like they should. And it's because they probably just don't have the right guidance. They don't think that they can do it. And I'm not that special. I'm not that smart. My millionaire students aren't that special or smart. We just have strategy, and we're willing to adapt, and we're willing to take advantage of these unique times. And they're willing to educate themselves, right? So that's it. So what's next for you, Tim? Obviously, you've got your social media, thing that's taking off. You've got, the day trading, which is blowing up. You're getting more students every single day, I'm assuming. What's next for Timothy Sykes? Where are you going? What's the plan?
I want more millionaire students. I have a couple, but it's actually kind of cool. I used to give 5 webinars per week, and I was kind of burnt out because, I get a little emotional. I'm passionate. I lose my voice. So fortunately, every time I create a millionaire student, I'm also actually creating more help for myself. Now my millionaire students give live webinars per week. So I'm only doing 1 webinar a week. Now my other millionaire students are helping share the load. So I'm going to keep trying to create more millionaire students. Those testimonials, that help creates a stronger community. And, we keep kind of showing why we're different compared to the rest of the very non-transparent financial world. Again, all of my students and I, my top students, we show every trade, even our losses. And that's huge. The same thing with Instagram. We want to create more big accounts and get them, sharing exactly what they're doing. It doesn't matter if I'm into penny stocks, Anthony is into cars. We're working with people who are into fitness and chefs and people who are selling little homemade jewelry. It doesn't matter who you are. If you utilize the opportunity out there, you can bank a lot, and you'll have self-sufficiency and knowledge, which I think is even better than money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for our community and our audience, Tim, how can people find out about you?
Yeah, I mean, just Google my name, Timothy Sykes. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. YouTube, I have over 500 plus free videos. So if you think I'm full of shit, go watch my 500 plus free videos, and you'll be like, maybe he's not. wolfmillionaire.com. And then we also have stockstotrade.com, which is a new website where a lot of people don't want to put in all the time and effort researching all the stocks. So this is a computer program that my team and I have spent over a year. We've spent over $1 million creating this, and it basically searches out the hottest stocks every single day and talks about which patterns they have. So we kind of make it easier in like an automated kind of way. And I'm really excited about that because I do believe Skynet will eventually wipe out the human race. But for right now,
not too far away.
Genesis is coming. But, right now the machines can help us live better lives. So I'm kind of proud to have created Stocks to Trade, even though eventually it'll kill us all.
All right. Yeah, no, I think that's, any more questions? Rory?
No, that's a wrap, Tim. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. It was an absolute pleasure having you. Make sure to our audience, to our community, you check Timothy Sykes out if you want to be the next penny stock millionaire. Timothy Sykes, thanks for having us. Rory McMillan,
great talking to you, Tim.
See you next week.
Magna.